What is up? Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to TTR Friday here at the Toon Review. You're joined by myself, Starro, Alex, and Billy. Paul shall be with us shortly. He is out gallivanting as per usual, but he shall be back. Welcome in. We've got lots to discuss today. Hopefully a bit more of an old school TTR Friday with a bit of fun. There is lots to shame, beef, whine about. Even though I don't think Sam's here this evening, we will definitely sub in for her because there is so much nonsense that's occurred, not just today, but all throughout the week. But welcome in, everybody. Make sure you do hit the like button as soon as you drop in. As soon as you've even started watching, make sure you've hit like. Make sure the subscribe button is saying subscribed and that you've hit the bell icon to be notified when we've got more shows on. You can hit the $ if you want to donate and support the channel, as well as become a member with the join button if you want to be entered into giveaways. Make sure as well, Mamaroo Records, our amazing sponsor, link in the description. Make sure you go check out the website as well as the shop in Whitley Bay if you're ever in the northeast region of England. Hi, Billy. How are we doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too, mate. Yeah, I'm great. Good evening to all the Magpie Massive and all the fantastic people out there in Viewerland. So it's a fantastic start to a fantastic weekend, all being well.
Well, there's some weird stories have come out today, Billy. Lots of weird stories. And I'm sure Paul will want to discuss them when he arrives. But it's fine. We can start without him because he's late. So we'll start talking about it. I think maybe the England squad is a nice one to start off with before everybody drops in and joins us. As I know not everybody likes talking about England. Fair enough. Not everybody is from England or supports the English national team who supports Newcastle United. Fair enough. And some people just don't like it. However, this, Billy, is the England squad, which was announced today. Now, there's some interesting choices in here. This is the men's senior squad for fixtures versus Andorra and Senegal. What were your initial thoughts when you saw this?
Well, firstly, congratulations once again to Dan Burn and to Anthony Gordon for making the squad. I'm surprised Anthony Gordon has made the squad, given the fact he's not really started for us in the past 6 weeks or so. But there's players there that should be in there who aren't, and there's players who aren't in there who are in there that shouldn't. So I'm not happy with it. I'm just be honest. I'm happy with it. The front three, just three centre forwards: Kane, Tony, and Watkins. I mean, Tony's done really well in Saudi Arabia, but it's Saudi Arabia. The Henderson selection again, ridiculous. So yeah, it's. I'm not sure how to describe it. I think there should have been room there for Jacob Murphy. As for defence, Gahey out because of his eye injury, Chalobah in. Can't really argue with that. But yeah, why is Livramento not there? We know why, because he's going to the Euro under 21s, which I think probably will do him better in the long run. So I'm not so concerned about that. But it's not the greatest squad in the world for me, I've got to say.
I'm okay with some of it, and absolutely seething with other parts of this selection. I agree with you. I think the fact that Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, and Tino Livramento are in the U21s is fine because they'll get some decent tournament experience this summer. I have no problem with that. I think that's a good move from Thomas the Tank Engine. I think that's fine. However, what I do have a problem with is Ivan Toney being back in this squad. I think he's made his choice when he left to go and play in Saudi Arabia. I don't care what Ronaldo says. It is not a top league at all and is not at the desired standard for a country wanting to win the World Cup or European Championships. It is disgraceful. And I do not think he belongs anywhere near this lineup. That being said, the fact that Jacob Murphy was not even a consideration or not even mentioned by Sky, the BBC, or by any of the journalists at all is an utter national disgrace.
I think the Beeb mentioned him, Star.
I read a Sky article today and didn't see his name pop up once.
I'm not sure about Sky, but the Beeb definitely said Jacob Murphy doesn't break into. You know, he was lauded to maybe get in, but they didn't. So
I'm not saying that he should have been in the squad. I'm saying he should have been at least considered publicly. And I think the fact that Thomas Tuchel did not even, as much as reference his name today, is a disgrace. is an utter disrespect to somebody who's got 19 goal contributions in the Premier League this season, in a team who's won a cup, a domestic cup, and is fighting for a Champions League place. To not have that as a consideration publicly is an utter disgrace. And I would be just devastated if I was Murphy that he's not even been referenced. Like, he might not have been, in line to get the call up, fine. But it's the fact that he wasn't a consideration publicly. Maybe they've considered him privately, but talk about it. Talk about it publicly. Offer him a route in. Is the door closed? Is it not closed, or was he just not? Was he forgotten? I just think it's disgusting with the Jacob Murphy front. The rest of it, whatever. He's doing what he thinks is right, Mr. Chelsea. The fact that Reece James is in this squad is an utter joke. An utter joke. The man's been useless for 3 seasons, maybe more. Forever injured.
Yeah. Back to the Murphy point, Stato. The fact that Phil Foden isn't in that squad, neither is Jared Bowen. I think it's time to close the door on Jacob Murphy for England. I don't think it's ever going to happen now. If I was him and I was available to play for someone else, like, I don't know if he has West Indian parentage. I think he possibly has. I'd go and play for them. I really would.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I feel really sorry for him because he's put in the hard work for the season of his life to maybe get a cap.
Yeah.
Like, we know at club level he's not the answer long term. In 3 years, we're very likely to have a shiny, expensive right winger doing the business week in, week out. But Jacob Murphy has earned our respect and the right to be in these conversations this season because he's done it the hard way. And I'm gobsmacked. And I thought this was so much of a news point that I wasn't going to put it in shamed. I don't think it deserves to be in a segment. I think it deserves to be a main talking point. And it is an utter disgrace that he wasn't considered publicly for a call-up. So I feel like even saying condolences and commiserations to Jacob Murphy because I feel gutted for him. Absolutely gutted.
I mean, even Kyle Walker. Why? He's 35, 36 years of age. Why? There's no future in Kyle Walker. We all know what Kyle Walker could do, or we all know what Kyle Walker used to be able to do. It's a strange squad, and there's 4 or 5 players in there that I just don't get. Jordan Henderson, Christ almighty. If he regressed to him being in the squad, I don't understand it. I really don't.
Well, Billy, some more positive news, and I hope this is positive for most people. I do think most people would consider this positive news. Keith Downey has posted this evening about our good old leader, the Beanpole, the cup winner, Big Dan Burn. So this is this evening. I don't know if you've read this news yet.
I haven't. No, this is all news to me, mate.
Ooh, so Dan Burn tells Sky Sports News, well, I think he's told you, Keith, specifically, he's close to agreeing a contract extension at NUFC. The defender is set to sign a 1-year extension, keeping him at the club till summer 2027. Nothing is signed and sealed, but I want to finish my career here. My current contract takes me up until the age of 34, which is amazing. I never thought I'd still be playing football at 34, but I'd love to extend that and feel like I'm getting better. I'm definitely not slowing down. If we can get something done and dusted, that would be amazing. I wouldn't change a second of my career, even the lows. People thought I'd be a stopgap signing, but I backed myself, and I'm very proud that I'm still playing week in, week out. Fantastic little Twitter segment from Keith Downey. So that is why he's one of the tried and trusted. And we do go to him for things like this. And that is a lovely put together article and some very positive news about Dan Burn, Billy.
I think it's excellent news and well-deserved news too. Absolutely fantastic. I think he's our player of the season, if I'm perfectly honest. It's been written off, and I've written him off. I think we all have at times during the past 2 or 3 years and in certain parts of his career at Newcastle United. But the resilience of the man and the ability to be able to listen and learn and improve as a player in his mid-30s is phenomenal, really. I've noticed definitely a pick-up in pace about him. I don't know if it's just the way I'm looking at things, but he looks quicker.
Chelsea game, he matched Pedro Neto for about 40 yards.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Maybe more than that, 50 yards possibly.
Defensively, he gets himself in front of his heart is unbelievable. Got a heart as big as a lion's. So, yeah, I love it. I love the fact that he's going to get an extra year. He deserves it. And, yeah, maybe one of the best signings that Newcastle United have ever made.
It's been very handy that Botman's had his injury issues, that we've had Dan Burn still around and has stepped up. I think he said it himself. A lot of people did think he would be a stopgap signing. I did as well. I thought he was a really good player for where we were at 3 years ago, but it was to cross. It was a temporary bridge to get us across to the next phase. But him, and he's not the only player that's done this. He's taken upon it himself to not be that bit part, middling, stepping stone kind of player to help the club progress. He wanted to be part of the ride, as did a few of the others, and he completely deserves it. With the cup winning, a goal in the cup. It wasn't the winning goal, but it was a goal in the cup, certainly. And how well he's done this season defensively. He's definitely improved his passing, his technical ability, his pace. I think maybe he's had a bit of an unfair crack of people's comments, mainly by just being played as a left back for far too many games when it probably wasn't the best idea, which I think is probably Eddie Howe's fault, really. But it's never really going to get picked up or mentioned. Maybe in 5 or 10 years' time, it'll be in a podcast somewhere. But yeah, I'm thrilled, as you seem to be, Billy. We'll get Paul's thoughts when he joins. But yeah, I'm guessing everybody in the chat's thrilled as well about Big Dan Burn. We've got a few super chats to go through. There was one, I believe. I think we missed one the other night, and I can't remember who it was. Can you remember who it was, Billy?
It was Martin, I believe. It was just put a comment in, and he'd been a member for 12 months, hadn't he? So thanks to Martin.
Yeah, we had a very late membership from Martin a couple of days ago that we forgot to read out. We just closed the show. So thank you, Martin, from a couple of days ago for that. It's much appreciated. But tonight we have Dan DG, member for 34 months. Murphy wouldn't need to go far if he wanted to get a call up outside of England. He has Irish heritage through his father. I didn't know that. I don't know who the right wingers are for Ireland, but
they won't be very good.
Not as good as Jacob Murphy.
Absolutely not.
Kieran, thank you for your $4.99 super chat. Could the better players being kept to one side to face the better teams? I think he did reference that he just wanted to get a look at different players, which again, that's fair enough.
I mean, one of them is a competitive fixture, isn't it? I mean, I know it's only against Andorra, and the other one's a friendly, isn't it? So
Senegal, yeah. I mean, we used to like Senegal quite a lot, and we had a lot of Senegalese players where the black and white the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think Senegal will be a hard game.
Yeah, you are right, Kieran. It's he did state that he was definitely trying to look at different players, but surely that's the cue for Jacob to be considered. But never mind. Sorry, Alice. Toon.
Is Alice in the chat?
Is that for? Is that a Manchester United comment? Have we got Alice in the chat? If we do have Alice in the chat, then you might want to cover your ears for because you are far kinder about our club than I could ever be. You are a better person than I could ever be, because I could never be that kind about Manchester United. So I don't have anything prepped to share on screen. Go on, Billy. I'll tee you up. I'm hosting. You get to do the fun bit.
Well, the main
seems to be the crack with them today.
Well, they've released a lot of staff. They still had the barbecue. And there's rumours that Bruno Fernandes could be on his way to Saudi for £100 million. Interesting, isn't it? Nice day, nice work if you get it. Million for Bruno, anyway. My thoughts on him is it's a lot of money for a 31-year-old, but I have to say, Fabinho went for kind of half of that. Is Fabinho half the player that Bruno Fernandes is? Depends what player. I'm not so sure. I think I'm not sure it's a bad thing for Saudi to pay 100 million. I think he's worth it. To be perfectly honest, he's a great player. Just a twat, isn't he?
Indeed. Well, I think it's from Ben Jacobs. This has come from. So and Chris Wheeler. There's a bunch of all the journalists have jumped on this. To be fair. Let's actually get something up. And I know that people don't want to talk about Manchester United and that we are a proper Newcastle United channel. However, I think this has to be discussed at least a little bit, purely because of fair market value. So this is from Ben Jacobs. Exclusive. Al Hilal plan to give Bruno Fernandes 72 hours to decide whether to join. £700,000 a week. Plus bonuses contract on offer. For for a 31-year-old,
Mm.
part of a team that's finished near the relegation zone. I think they need an investigation if that signing goes through. I think that is outrageous and a dodgy dealing if that happens at 100 mil. Considering we got some shade thrown at us for a 25 to 30 million transfer of Alan Saint-Maximin to Saudi Arabia, a 26-year-old peak age winger with good potential going to Saudi Arabia for 25 mil, raising eyebrows, people calling for investigations, then I'm sorry, £100 million 31-year-old for the team that finished near the relegation zone, absolutely no way. We can't be having teams doing this. Not a chance.
I saw in the chat earlier, Umar Anwar said that it shouldn't be allowed for Saudi to buy players from top 4 clubs. In this case, of course, they aren't. Maybe a bottom 4 club.
Well,
come Sunday.
I just don't think in any way, shape or form that can be considered fair market value for, if you go and have a look at the average sale of competent players who are 30, 31, I think the only recent case was Harry Kane being sort of in his 30s, going to Bayern Munich, who it wasn't that much. It was 70 or 80. And that was somebody who was largely considered to be one of the best strikers in Europe and who was probably going to go and help them win lots. And he's done that. He's the top goal scorer this season. He helped win the Bundesliga. I think he's the Bundesliga player of the season, possibly. He's been incredible. And some of the stuff he's done has been better than what he does for England. He's been rolling back the years. He even scored a goal where he mimics the Bundesliga logo, where he did a little acrobatic thing. So 100 mil for this clown is, I'm sorry. I know he's a very good player, but that's not fair market value when you take into consideration the rest of the league and the kind of numbers they're working with. And that would get them out of jail, essentially. They could offload a few more and they can reset. And I don't think they should be allowed to do that.
The problem is, who wants to go there? It's not a problem for me. I just don't see them having the pulling power that they've had historically.
I know they'll have to reset. They'll have to reset. They would have to get rid of Bruno Fernandes plus 2 or 3 others, and then they can throw money at a new manager, bring in some fresh players, and try and reset as a club. That's what they probably should do. But it's fair market value is fair market value, and that is ludicrous and needs investigating. We cannot let that slide. That needs a points deduction and a massive slap on the wrist if that goes through. That is not on. Anyway, we'll move away from them. We don't want to talk about Manchester United, but when it's relating to things that might affect us, it needs to be considered at least a little bit. And one more topic, Billy, which has come up in the news before we talk about Eddie Howe and his press conference. Have you heard that Gary Neville has been banned from the Nottingham Forest ground for the weekend?
No, I haven't.
He's been banned. Yeah. So if anybody hasn't seen this yet, it's quite amusing. So for people who are out of the loop on this, the loss. Who was it that beat Forest recently? Somebody beat Forest recently. Was it?
They drew with Leicester. Didn't they?
I think it was Leicester. Yeah, it was the draw with Leicester at the City Ground, and there was a big kerfuffle at full time because the Greek owner came onto the pitch and had a little bit of a verbal scuffle with the manager, and Gary Neville obviously made his thoughts pretty clear that he thought the manager should resign that night because you can't be publicly ridiculed like that by an owner. It's, to be completely honest, I do agree with that sentiment partly, a little bit. However, I feel like it shouldn't have come out of Gary Neville's mouth because of who he is and the Glazers and Ratcliffe and Man United. I just think it was the wrong person in the wrong situation. Yeah, he's been banned. He's not allowed to go. Sky are very upset and says it's unprecedented and unwelcome. Apparently, Neville has chosen not to attend. So there's some conflicting statements about whether it's definitely them that have pulled out or he's not been granted media access. I'm not exactly sure. It seems to be a bit of both. But yeah, he's not going. They're going to have to sort out a different commentary team for the weekend. So...
Well, if Gary Neville is going to be working this weekend, he'll have to go and watch his favourite club lift the Premier League title, won't he? Because there's no doubt that Carragher will be at the Liverpool game. So, yeah, they'll have to get Alan Smith to do the Forest one. But I tend to agree with that, with what Neville's sentiments were, to be honest. We
don't want censoring of speech really in this country.
Absolutely not.
When it's
the event that happened was, I mean, Taiwo Awoniyi has been in an induced coma and he can't even walk yet. So the fact that the Forest medical staff saw fit for him to carry on and for Nuno to make the change that he was making, it's scandalous, really. And the owner comes on and blames Nuno for it when he should have all been done behind closed doors, and he should have fired that medical team there and then, for me. And I agree with what Gary Neville said.
Yeah, I do agree with him. I think the problem is because of who he is, it's a very hypocritical statement. Talking about owners and decisions based on the Man United situation. He's just in an unfortunate... and to be fair, it's his own fault. It's his own fault for getting so involved in other things. Yes. And that's the whole thing with commentary, is you're meant to be as neutral as possible, and to a degree try and give a fair balance of everything. And we both know, and we all know, that Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville are incapable of doing that. And they ruin it. They ruin it with their Monday Night Football because they put a vote out. Jamie Carragher tweets from his own Twitter account, which of course he's going to be predominantly followed by Liverpool fans. Of course he is, because he's Jamie Carragher. And then he bases his own poll on what to discuss on Monday Night Football, which is generally just Liverpool. And it's ridiculous that Sky let him do that, to be honest. So the both of them, I'm not surprised that this has happened, but it does, unfortunately, I do agree with Gary Neville. This is kind of dangerous, and it sets a very dangerous precedent that this might happen a bit more. That we might get a few bans handed out for pundits that have got a bit of a funny opinion. And there's a lot of them out there.
That is true.
I don't know.
That is very true.
It does concern me. Shall we talk about Mr. Edward Howe, King Eddie Howe, and the interview? Have you listened to or watched the press conference?
I haven't. No, I've been very, very busy today.
Mm-hmm. So I haven't, unfortunately, been able to listen to all of it. I've listened to, I think, about half of it. He was asked about Alexander Isak by several people, and it was discussed that he was available. He was possibly going to be available, and that he's trained on his own this week, and he's been increasing his load, which is Eddie Howe's favourite saying. Training load. I don't know why he omits the word training out of it. Just makes it sound weird.
He's good at shooting, to be fair, isn't he, old Alex?
Well, he most certainly is. And he said that he's trained to the levels he was supposed to be training at this week alone, pain-free. So there is definitely a chance he can play at the weekend. I'm going to read in between the lines and suggest that means he's going to start.
100%. 100%.
As a few people in the chat have commented exactly the same things. We've got to start him, surely, Billy. We need to win this game.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if he gets a little niggle, he's got the whole rest of the summer to work it off. So, yeah, it's the most important game of the season, isn't it, now? Absolutely. So, if he's anywhere near fit, he plays. And
do you think Wilson plays?
No, I don't. I think Isak will definitely play. I think if Isak doesn't play, I think Wilson will play. But I think they're doing the damnedest to get Isak on the pitch.
Kieran Trippier apparently is in a similar situation. He didn't talk as much about Trippier, but he did state that he's trained alone this week, and there is a possibility. So if that is the case, it is one more game, and it means that what we previewed last night might be wrong. We might be able to play our traditional 4-3-3 with Trippier as a right back.
And that'd be fantastic, won't it? Yeah.
Right, it means no funny wing-back system at home, and it means no Kraft in a back four, which I know some people kind of want to see, but I'd rather not do it now, not with such a high-stakes game. Like, if he had to do it earlier on the season, yeah, fine. But this is a must-win game. We have to win this game to guarantee the Champions League qualification. Otherwise, we're leaving it up to results from other people. The rest of the press conference, I don't know what happened in the second half of it, unfortunately, because I haven't had an opportunity to listen to all of it. But it was a lot of, how's your season been? Is the season a success if you don't get Champions League? What's been your favourite bit of the season? It was a lot of reflective questions on the year so far. What would you take as this year, Billy? Would you say this is probably, is this the favourite season of your lifetime, or?
Well, yeah, absolutely, 100%. The fact that there's silverware in the trophy cabinet makes it the best season of my lifetime. Maybe bar 1969, which I was I was 1 year old, I guess, less than 1 year old when we won the Fairs Cup. So, yeah, the fact we've got Champions League football ready to be taken if we play our game properly on Sunday, it's without doubt the best season of my lifetime, without doubt. And I don't think we've actually played to our best potential for lots of the year either, which is amazing, really. I think there's levels we can rise to.
Eddie Howe did kind of say that. He did say about them playing well for the season. And then he corrected himself and he said it's more like 2/3 of the season. And those were his words. I don't think he said play well. I can't remember how he described it, but he referenced playing better in some description. 2/3 of the season. So and we all agree with that. We've only managed to turn it on for 2/3 of the season. So if we could have turned it on for more than that, we'd have been up in the title race, because the people up at the top are not that far away from us, realistically. I mean, I was having this conversation with a couple of people from work this week who are Liverpool fans, and I was kind of saying to them, you know, they were asking about title stuff, and I said, well, you know, generally people laugh when you talk about our clubs of that nature, like Villa or us, going to be able to title challenge. People just laugh you out of the room. They don't consider the facts. But realistically, what can we do to get 15 extra points next year so we're in that conversation for at least the race? Not necessarily to win a title, but to be in that conversation of competing at the top. We need, what, another 15 points more, Billy, approximately?
Yeah.
Is 15 points an unreasonable number if we go and really supplement the team in this window?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, you look at Brighton. We've got 2 games against Bournemouth, Brentford away, Fulham away. That's just without thinking about it. And that's 12 points. So, yeah, I think it's attainable. West Ham at home, another one. They're all games that we should have been competing in to win, and we didn't. So
maybe a slightly more consistent season
100%.
with 3 or 4 first-team signings through the door. Is 15 extra points a realistic conversation to have? I think it is. I think it is. I think probably we all do. But the problem is people in the rest of the country that are outside of the Northeast, that are in their little Big Six bubble, think it's a bit weird to have that conversation and just think we're talking absolute nonsense, talking about titles and title races. But I mean, for the last several years, we've been up there in terms of goal scoring. We've been one of the top goal scorers in the league. It's been defensively that it's kind of let us down. And then the Champions League qualifying season was the reverse. I think we did really well defensively, or vice versa. It was one of those. A few people in the chat telling me that we didn't miss much in the second half of the press conference, and it was mainly just drivel and talking about nonsense. But there was another thing that he was talking about. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, he was asked about this funny little window, this June the 1st to June the 10th. So for people who have been living under a rock, the transfer window is a bit different this year. It opens June the 1st until June the 10th. Because of the Club World Cup, and then it shuts again, and then it reopens again in July. So we do have this funny little 10-day window where we could, in theory, go and take advantage. And that was the word all the journalists were using, Billy, was take advantage.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe's response to that was... so I should have written this down, really. Sorry, guys, I've been very busy today. We pride ourselves on identifying our targets early. And then he said some more about it, and I can't remember. I don't want to misquote him, but that was exactly what he said in the first part. And that technically, that's not his area.
No, of course.
Interesting that he specifically said that.
Yeah, the fact he knows about that tells me that there are targets ready to be approached to come in that first 10 days of the transfer window. As you said, it's not his remit. That's Paul Mitchell, and I think Paul Mitchell's an elite man at his job. So, with some money behind him, I think we can expect quite a busy 10 days.
Indeed. He did then go to. He kind of not backtracked, but he went on to kind of suggest we will be quick, and I can't remember what adjectives he used, but he said he will be quick at sort of trying to identify and get our targets through, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or the end of the window, which kind of contradicted the rest of his earlier points. Because he's just referenced we'll try and be quick in all phases of the window. It's like, well, no, Eddie, it's the start where we're talking about ideally. He's very good at answering those kinds of questions. So, what do you think the likelihood is of us making a big signing in that June 1st to June 10th?
I think once the season's done and dusted on Sunday night, I think we'll be straight to the reps of Liam Delap and offering him a decent wage package for him to entice him to St James's Park. And that'll be the first thing we do. If I'm perfectly honest, we had the talk. Apparently, by all accounts, we've had talks with him, as he has with other clubs, but I don't see him wanting to go to Manchester United now. They were the favourites. They've got nothing to offer him. So I think it's down to us and maybe Chelsea. And if Chelsea don't qualify for Champions League, which it could happen, and we do, then I think we're right in the box seat, and I think we can have him in the door before the end of next week.
Liam Delap specifically. That's interesting because that's not in my head.
Well, who are you thinking?
Well, I'm not saying that I'm thinking of anyone else in particular. I don't know. If you ask me, who do you think is likely to be in a black and white shirt in a week or two's time? I would not say Liam Delap. It would not be one of my first 5 picks. Just for not because I don't like him. It's just not what I'm expecting. I could be completely wrong.
I think it's only 30 million quid. He's got a release clause. I think it's a no-brainer for me.
I think I kind of talked myself out of that being an option because of all the Manchester United links, but the situation they're in, I kind of, I guess it makes it feasible again, so we can have this conversation. Here's a question for you, and this is I need Paul to show us how to do a poll because I think we need to do a poll on this. Do you and does everybody think we will sign a Galactico type signing this window in terms of not just a 20-30 mil exotic player? I'm talking about a Sandro Tonali or an Alexander Isak. Alexander Isak was a risk, but was one of the best options of young strikers available on the market. Sandro Tonali is the jewel of the Italian crown and the future Italian captain. I would say that's for our level, that's a Galactico signing. Do you think we'll go down that path again with Paul Mitchell, bearing in mind?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think they want to get the fans excited for the new season, and I think if we was just sign Delap type signings, I mean, it makes me feel happy. But I think one big signing will be, and maybe the right winger will be that man. I don't know, but yes, I think we'll definitely sign a Galactico type signing. I think that'd be fantastic, won't it? If we do, it just makes you feel excited. When we signed Isak, remember how excited we felt. It was fun. I know the price was way above what we paid on anyone before, but we knew what we were getting. We knew that the fella had qualities that we've not really seen.
Well, I mean, we didn't.
It was a bit of a gamble.
The record was a bit of a gamble because he'd never scored more than 16 goals in a season. He'd had a couple of injury issues and he hadn't replicated that form in the following year. So Isak was a little bit of a risk.
Yeah,
you could see he'd got all the right attributes though. So
yes,
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to one. Who knows? I've got 2. Who knows?
I would like a Galactico, certainly. I want somebody to walk in the door that we can put on the front of a poster straight away. You want somebody that's going to sell out events, and you want an absolute, a conversation starter. who is not just for those reasons commercially, but somebody who's definitely progress with the club and help the club progress themselves. And then all of a sudden, when you start to talk about our squad out loud, if you factor in Botman, Bruno, Tonali, I guess Joe Linton kind of has got to be in that bracket now, and Alexander Isak as well as Anthony Gordon. You've got Tino Livramento, who is widely regarded as the next prince of fullbacks. I mean, Man City, according to Fabrizio Romano, are going to aggressively try and sign Tino Livramento this summer. So
Lewis
if
Hall
you
as
add
well.
another player, Lewis Hall as well, yeah. And if you add another name into that list, it does start to be a lot of people saying Mbeumo in the chat. Would we consider Mbeumo to be a Galactico signing?
He may cost a good Galactico fee, but
I think he'd be a fee for that, yeah. But is he a Galactico in terms of signing?
I'm not sure.
I think somebody slightly more exotic would be a Galactico signing. Somebody that's currently playing Champions League, currently putting up big numbers, still has potential. Which is what Tonali was doing when we bought Tonali. He just won the league. He'd won the league for AC Milan, and he'd been fantastic in the middle of the park. So I think that's considered a Galactico signing.
I mean, that price was ridiculous when you think about what he'd actually done, and it kind of makes you think they knew about this gambling thing that was going to be coming upon him.
Well, allegedly, we have to put that on the end.
Allegedly.
Adam Wharton, we missed the boat on Adam Wharton, unfortunately. There is one interesting thing I kind of wanted to raise. It is slightly.
We have a super chat anyway that you've missed. We've missed.
Oh, gone him.
It's from Ian Toon Trader, who says, "Imagine if you banned Sky pundits for chatting shit." Well, there wouldn't be any.
None left.
There'd be none there, would there? Thanks for that, Ian. Appreciate that.
Apart from Keith Downey, there would be none left. So one thing I just wanted to reference because of the prices being considered is this. Florian Wirtz.
Wow.
Apparently he has rejected Bayern Munich, and there is a big chance of him going to Liverpool. Or Sky Germany believes, whatever that means, the player is leaning towards moving to Liverpool. Just crazy language used here. It's outrageous.
Well, apparently Man City wanted him as well, and he doesn't want to go there. But you'd have thought with De Bruyne leaving, it'd be an ideal swap for De Bruyne. But he clearly wants the red side. I
agree there. It doesn't really make sense, does it? Because it would be one in, one out. Have you heard about the kind of prices that have been quoted?
No, you can surprise me. Talking telephone numbers, I guess.
Go on, guess.
120 million.
More.
150 million.
It's 130 to 150 million euros, I think, which is so much money. But we did reference that. Like we've done this kid on a couple of transfer shows, and it was very much a pie in the sky conversation. Like we knew we weren't going to be getting him.
I mean, that's it though. He is a kid, isn't he? I mean, with the quality he's got, but he's still 22.
Oh, he's absolutely outrageous. I mean, for people who don't know, obviously, Bayer Leverkusen did win the Bundesliga. Not this season. They won it last year. Nearly went invincible. They were just unplayable. My FB ref just doesn't want to work. Fine, we won't have a look at Florian Wirtz. Never mind. I wonder where Paul's got to, Billy. I thought he was going to be joining us before the end, but
I don't think he's going to make it now.
I don't know.
Florian Wirtz, I mean, I do like seeing players come to this country just to see them in the league. You know, like Kevin De Bruyne, for instance. I've enjoyed watching his play for Man City over the past 10 years. And this quality of player comes in. I know they're not playing for us as such, but I do enjoy watching these skill-heavy players come into the Premier League and doing things. I do. I have to say, as a Newcastle United fan, I'd rather them come to us clearly, but that's not going to happen just yet.
Well, I've found his data. So just in case people don't know who this kid is, just to show you why they're quoting those kinds of prices. So he's on 22 goal contributions, 10 goals, 12 assists, with 6 goals in the Champions League. He's only 22. He's a baby.
Just turned 22 as well, yeah.
It is absolutely outrageous. It's filthy how good this player is at football. Yeah, there you go. Just green all round.
Like Antass's loft, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely ludicrous how good this kid is. He's up there with your sort of Musialas and Bellinghams as the best attacking midfielders on the planet. And he's going to go for a lot of money. And it does kind of scare me if Liverpool get him, because Dominic Szoboszlai is also very impressive. So having them two as sort of attacking midfielders, and if they can get Gravenberch to actually properly be a lone six, Liverpool's midfield is disgusting. Like Florian Wirtz could genuinely put a pin in this. Florian Wirtz could make David Silva look silly if he has a good career. If he keeps doing what he's done so far for the next decade, he'd be better than David Silva, which is an outrageous take. Yep. I know it is. So much could go wrong between now and a decade away. But if he continues on this trajectory, that is where he's heading. And everybody knows how good David Silva was. So, yeah. And can Liverpool afford that, to give Mo Salah another fat contract, Van Dijk another fat contract, lose Trent on a free, and then drop 150 million euros on this guy?
I guess they must be able to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it, would they? I think they see it as a way of kind of cementing their place as the top team in this country, and maybe even in Europe. I think it's a fantastic signing for them if they do get him. Yeah,
it'd be outrageous. Right, we've got some super chats to do because Barbara's not happy with us. Yes, sorry, we were talking about football. Geordie Dan, thank you for your 199 super chat. Vinicius Junior inbound. You could not pay me to take that man. Absolutely not. His attitude is disgusting. I would not want him playing at the club. I don't know about you, Billy, but I don't like him personally.
I think he's a fantastic player, but we're way out of our price range anyway, so.
Yeah, he's probably one of these players in La Liga that's got £1 billion release clause anyway, so kind of makes no difference. Barbara, thank you for your 39 months as a member. Hi, Alex and Billy. Oh, sorry. That killed me, that did. Hi, Alex and Billy. Hope to see a big win on Sunday. I'm on my jolly days in Gran Canaria. Very, very lucky, Barbara. Enjoy your holiday, and hopefully you can enjoy it with a win, and we're all hoping for the same thing as well. Susan I was going to say Ferguson, then. That's not what that says. Fagan, thank you for your £2 super chat. Substitute Galactico for, I'm guessing that means depth and coaching, not death and coaching.
Yes, absolutely.
However, it is a really interesting point, actually, and is completely the devil's advocate opinion to what we were talking about. Would you consider not having a big signing for what she said, which is depth and coaching?
I think
maybe go for some cheaper options.
You sign a Galactico, the player that's in that position is then the depth, isn't he? So by design, you're making depth by signing a Galactico. I know it's an expensive version of it.
I'm not sure that's how that works, Billy.
But if we say for instance, we sign Mbeumo, right? Jacob Murphy then becomes the depth of that position, doesn't he? By design.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about
lots of players.
You can't buy many Galacticos. That's the problem with it.
No,
so you're not getting much depth.
That is true.
I don't think half of our squad are even relevant anyway, and they don't get used. I don't think Emil Kraft is overly favoured. I don't think Eddie Howe really wants to be using him as a main player. Even though he's useful, he's fantastic to have as a super, super backup option. So I think Kraft fits into that category, as does somebody like Sean Longstaff. Osula's not being used yet. We've got a lot of players that are just kind of hanging around. Matt Target. Wouldn't we prefer our depth to be players that Eddie Howe would trust with minutes?
Yes,
better
probably.
Depth, stronger depth.
Yeah, probably would. mean, that's like saying Eddie isn't the flamboyant manager that we kind of want. But I mean, I think given the tools, I think he can get these Galacticos to do massive things for us. We've seen it with Toon Army, we've seen it with Bruno. They're Galacticos in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people. I mean, Venomega's just said there about Frank Zambo Anguissa, which we've done on a free transfer show not too long ago. Yeah, if we dip into the free transfer market successfully, we could definitely make this window a really impressive window. If we get a really big signing and some sort of moderate signings in terms of price and a free transfer through the door, we could have an enormous
Say
window.
if no Kluben Scammering came into, or another manager that's searching for players that, they're struggling to attract players, but they came to us and offered us, let's say, 35 million or 30 million for Jacob Murphy, would you sell him?
No.
40?
Well,
you're never going to get that price again for him.
Stop.
On the back of what
but I don't want to have this conversation.
Well,
I like
it's a good one to have. It could be a bit. We did make this mistake with Miggy, didn't we? We could have sold him when he was at a really high level and ended up getting like less than 10 million for him. Someone offers us big money for Jacob Murphy. I'd be tempted. I'd sell him personally. On the back of a purple patch season, and he's still 30 as well.
Yeah, but then we've got to go and buy 2 right wingers.
Yeah, but one of them, if they give us 30, it's amortise that by 5. You're looking at 150. You can go and buy 2 wingers, can't you? No danger. And other players.
But we've got to pay that at some point. We're going to have some crap years if we do that. We've got to be careful. Otherwise, we're going to have another situation where we've got 18 months to 2 years with basically no signings for the first team, which would be tragic. We're going to have to do this a bit more responsibly going forward as we're pumping up the revenue. So, we can't just go, let's sell him for 30 and pump in 150. It doesn't work like that. I know it kind of does, but it doesn't in the real world. I don't want to sell Murphy. Somebody would have to give us a really big offer. As Toon Assassins just said, Jacob Murphy's a Newcastle fan. He can play right mid, right wing back, right back if he really has to. He knows his job. He knows the squad. Why get rid of him unless you get an offer you can't refuse? There's no point in getting rid of Jacob Murphy because he's just useful. And you can't have the squad turnover that's too big. We need to keep the core of the squad. Let's be honest, the core of this squad has just won a cup and pretty much qualified for the Champions League. Hopefully they do. If they fail, they still got damn close. So there can't be that much wrong with the squad.
What's Jacob's goal contributions for this season? It's something massive, isn't it?
I believe it's 19 for the Premier League alone. Jacob Murphy. I think it's 19 for the Prem. No, it's 20. So that's not including any appearances in the Cups if he's done anything there.
Yeah, which he probably has. Because he's definitely got assists in the Cups because he got one in the final, didn't he?
This makes it even more outrageous that he was not called up to the England squad. The fact that he was born in Wembley as well. He was born in Wembley.
35k a week. I mean, come on.
It's got to be the most efficient. A couple of years ago we talked about Fabian Schär being the best buy for us. I mean, how much did Jacob Murphy cost us? Can anybody remember? Was it like 10 or 12 mil or something back in the day? There you go. That's a quiz question for you in the Northeast. How much did Jacob Murphy cost?
But how much? What are you anticipating his goal contributions to be next season, Stato?
Not 20.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. That's not the reason I would keep him.
I'm thinking of the FIFA screen where they sell players and they walk to the door. Jacob Murphy would definitely do that.
Who did we buy him from? Was it Norwich?
I think so.
It was Norwich. That was back when they had. Was it like Todd Cantwell and all of those? That there was James Maddison was at Norwich as well. That was back when they had a little cluster of gems like over a few years in a row.
Jamal Lewis.
Apparently, we paid 11.3 million euros, so about 10 million quid-ish back then.
Good signing. Good, yeah. Well, definitely worth the money we paid for him, isn't he? And more.
I mean, back then, yeah, but we struggled. We loaned him out to West Brom and
Sheffield Wednesday.
He went to Sheffield Wednesday as well. So, yeah, but he's definitely paid that back in abundance in the last few years, certainly. But I mean, there's another conversation that we've not even discussed, Billy, and that is homegrown trained at club players.
We may need another one, may we, by all accounts.
So for people who don't know, I think to be able to submit a squad size of 25, you need to have 4 players who are homegrown trained at club, which means they between the ages of 15 and 21, or is it 15 and 18? 15 and 21, I think it is. Spent at least 3 years being trained at the club specifically to qualify as a homegrown trained at club player. Apologies if I've got that wrong. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And currently, Miley isn't included in the list because he's too young, so he doesn't count. And Sean Longstaff is the only person that fits that criteria. Nobody else does. Gillespie doesn't fit that bill. We sold Elliot Anderson.
Dummett was another one that was retired. He was in last season's Champions League.
So unless we go and pull some players back into the squad, people keep saying Tim Krul and Woodman. We can't just bring all the old goalkeepers back. They're not going to play. What's the point? What is the point for them to just sit and watch? Like, we need a player that's actually going to play. Like Elliot Anderson. I mean, there's been a few reports of, wrong word. There's been a few people suggesting we should go back and get him.
Who? Elliot Anderson?
Yeah.
I think we'd have to pay a lot more than what we paid for him. That we sold him for.
What we sold him for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's definitely progressed into a player that's clearly going to be in the England setup.
Let's do some super chats while we're here, while we're thinking about it. Where are we? Where we get to? We've got to Susan.
Susan's last.
Wilfred Benishin, £2 super chat. Rayan Cherky inbound as a right winger, attacking midfielder for 32 mil. Toon Trader says, death through no coaching is Steve Bruce like. Jordy Dan says, Lamine Yamal is inbound. You asked for Galacticos. And Andy Haight says, go get Juan Garcia first, build from the back. Rumours are that we've kind of top of the list for that goalkeeper, aren't we? But I don't see it myself personally, do you?
Yeah, I mean, that one's an interesting one. I've done some research on him in the last... well, to be fair, it was the day that the link dropped. I haven't looked at it since then, but yeah, we'll do him on a transfer show. It just came out of nowhere, a couple of random goalkeeper links, considering that everybody was so, especially journalistically, everybody was so focused on us getting Trafford. But obviously Trafford is now up in the Premier League again with Burnley, so that might be, I don't know if that puts a spin on it at all. We'll have to wait and see. I think we got another super chat from Peter Garthwaite as well. Reports that Man City want Livramento. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier on in the show, Peter, that Fabrizio Romano has stated that he is their top target, which is a little bit concerning because they have a lot of money. And we really like Tino.
Man City don't usually play fullbacks, do they? I think Pep's realised maybe they need proper fullbacks on that side. Instead of playing 4 centre-halves or 3 centre-halves and a midfielder at right back.
Yeah, maybe the game's evolving and he's just got it wrong. It worked for a time and maybe it's kind of gone past him a little bit. What would you see as an acceptable price for Tino Livramento? What would bring your seat to the table?
What do we pay for him? 30? I'd expect us to at least double our money.
It was about that.
At least double our money. And do people pay that for defenders?
I think it was more, Billy. I think it was like 35 or 38 or something.
I mean, Team C says Man City have Rico Lewis as a right back. That's why they want Tino Livramento, because Rico Lewis is pretty shite.
Yeah, he's not really got the physicality, has he?
I'd expect 70 million at least for him, at least. And the teams play that much money for defenders, for fullbacks.
We paid 37.
75 then. I wouldn't sell him.
Yeah, I think they'd have to bid 70 for me to answer the phone, to even have a conversation. Even then, I would be very reluctant. It would have to be an extremely favourable fee and package. Yeah, because he's going to be a really good fullback for the next decade. Why would you get rid of him? Because we've got a situation with Kieran Trippier aging out. We've then got to solve 2 positions as well. Well, two players with the same position, and then Kraft is going to go. He might stay for another year, possibly. That's about it. So if we sell Tino, that's those 3 gone, and we've got to completely redo the right back position, which that's a lot of effort considering the amount of other places we've got to restructure. Don't forget we've got to do this with the goalkeeper position.
I mean, at the end of the day, if we're able to, and we've done it in the past recently as well, to kind of head off Man City's wishes. I mean, that they were potentially after Bruno for a while. I think it speaks volumes for us if we can kind of keep players happy at Newcastle United and not wanting to go to Manchester City, because most clubs, they find it hard to turn down that kind of money, don't
they? Few people saying, Stephen saying around 80. Geordie Dan saying we need to stay firm. So NUFC needs to hold firm and say not for sale unless it's 100 million in cash. Well, all up front for 100 million, I would accept that, definitely. That is a ludicrous amount, but I don't think they would pay that much. Billy, are you doing the Red Derby tomorrow?
No. I need a day off. I've been on all week, and I need a definite day off. So tomorrow will be that. So I should be watching it with, hopefully, in fits of laughter. But still.
Everybody's saying 100 mil, 100 mil, 100 mil. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, Stephen's telling me to read comments. I'm reading comments, all right? I wasn't expecting to be doing this show. I was not prepared at all. So I think we've done all right to bring you the interesting news of the week. Venomega is saying, question is, can we find a replacement of the same position? Same potential. Difficult. And everybody would know that that's what we would be fishing for as well, which would make it even more challenging. So... and they'd know we'd have the money.
I mean, Manchester City have to start realising that we're competing in the same pool as them now. We're not a mid-table side. We're not a bottom of the table side. We're in the same kind of level as they are. We're not doing business with them. Simple as that. That's what our outlook should be. And I think it will be.
Oh, so your position is just you don't want to trade with them at all? Absolutely
not. They're competitors for me.
Does that extend to clubs like Chelsea and other teams around us?
Yes. Sales-wise, yes. Unless they're shit. And
even if they offer us absolutely ridiculous money?
Obviously, it has to be ridiculous money. But I don't think clubs of that nature have got the money. Man City may have, because I think Man City is a strange one to want to move to anyway with what they've got over their head. So, I mean, who moves there for security reasons? I wouldn't.
Kieran saying, sorry, but we needed more laughter in this live stream. Well, apologies, Liam. I've had a very long week, and we've had no Paul and Sam here today, so we've had to just improvise and do the news of the week. So, next time, Kieran. Apologies, my friend.
Yeah, next Friday.
Right, so make sure, guys.
TTR Friday, yeah.
Yeah, we will. We need everybody to have a proper TTR Friday, and everybody knows the crack with. I'm a little bit more serious, and it's quite hard for me to do the comedic hosting that Paul and Billy can offer. So you've had more of an informative Friday night. Paul will be back, so we shall go and give him some grief for not joining in late on today. But thank you, everybody who has joined. Make sure you do like the show. It really, really does help. Make sure you have subscribed as well. Again, if you haven't, you can still drop a donation or become a member if you want to, even at the end of the show. I think you can do it after shows are finished as well. I think it works that way now. Make sure that you have checked out the sponsor in Mamaroo Records, who always do support us very heavily on the channel. And something that I forgot to mention earlier, which I need to do, is the toonreview.com is the merch for the Toon Review official merchandise. Make sure you check out the website if you would like hoodies, t-shirts, headwear, even drinkware.
Loungewear, drinkware.
Yeah, Paul hates it when I talk about drinkware. It's not a thing.
Kitchenware.
Anyway, make sure you check that out. Thank you for all the mods for supporting us in the chat tonight. Much appreciated. Thank you all the viewers for joining. Make sure you come back for the Everton match day live. It's going to be a big one. Me, Billy, and Paul are going to be doing it. It's going to be all three of us. It's going to be a huge, huge stream. Final game of the season. We have to try and qualify for this Champions League. It's going to be enormous. So make sure you come back on Sunday.
In our new kit as well.
In our new kit. Oh, we didn't talk about the kit. I knew there was something I forgot. Damn it. It's fine. We can do it on Sunday. I was not prepared for this. I blame Paul. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you on Sunday. Take care.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.